Hello, people. Welcome to Untier Talk. This is gonna be a weird one. I've got that thing in the background again. Sorry, but who we don't have in the background is Hajad because he's still too busy. We're just like skipping weeks, and he's like, I can't make it. So we have Specs, who's pretty much the same person. There's no difference. Don't worry.
Hello, mates.
Same exact cast. See?
Yeah, just like them.
Just this. I don't see any change. It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, aside from the nationality, there's practically no difference. So just close your eyes and, well, there's no visuals. Close your ears and pretend it's the same thing, and we'll just be doing the normal stuff. Oh man. Things have happened other than LTPL that we do have to cover before we hit LTPL. Not too much. We got Torkoal. I don't care. Do you care?
Not at all, but hell yeah.
Cool. Okay. We also didn't ban Virizion. I care about that in the sense that it's kind of like a deal. I did end up voting ban. I'm pretty fine that it's around. I think we'd have a mildly better meta without it, but it's also not actively like destroying PU with its presence. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm still having fun with the tier. I did vote ban as well, but I'm not too surprised given a lot of the discussion around it. So it's not like I'm freaking out or anything.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and plus we don't have to care anymore. Our LTPL times are over. So there's not even another big PU thing till slam. But no, like, I do feel like we'd have a mildly better time building and finding new offensive threats and different defensive cores, and I think that would be a bit freed up. But we've managed with it, and it's fine. Yeah. We also updated the viability rankings, which most of it just feels like, oh, the first one was so new and outdated that like a lot of the changes are just kind of obvious, basic, not huge things. Even like sticking Talonflame and S just feels like, yep, that should have happened clearly. I don't think most of it would be that surprising to anyone who's been following PU at all.
It's in like every other game, so no, I don't think so.
I guess Lycanroc is the only thing that would feel surprising to someone not following a lot of PU, because that has kind of shot up recently as like, oh, this is a good mon. It started out unranked because I don't know, nobody used it in the first 2 weeks. And we're like, oh, you have Archeops, why? And Scarf Passimian, whatever, why use Lycanroc? But it turns out just having that 112 speed and beating out all kinds of stuff and not being weak to Talonflame, it's a really good offensive presence. But other than that, everything here feels like, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it was just like a lot of the rises were just things that we didn't expect to be like that okay or good, but they rose up. Like Frostmoth rose up a bit. Frostsass is pretty decent.
Mhm.
Golbat's really good defensively.
Yeah, like, oh, Sandaconda turned out to still be pretty good. It'll go. We dropped it to C. You can go back up to B. That's
Yeah.
that's most of it. I mean, I'm sure after we put it out on Discord, some people disagreed with some stuff, but I don't even remember. Because like, there's always gonna be some disagreements. It's like, no, this is. I'm pretty okay with like everything that happened.
Yeah, overall pretty decent reception to it, which you like to see. So, well,
What was that super insightful and in-depth commentary on everything that's been happening? Let's just do the freaking tour, the LTPL, the things and stuff. We have how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a whole 6 games in week 6. That's fun. Would have been 7, but one of them was Kushalos Lax, which was never gonna happen. Especially when one team already pulled like way ahead. really early. So again, no replays thread. I just got to go down. Right. Okay. First thing that happens, same day as the pairings go up, is Tlenet versus Jerry, and I remember this because Jerry do be my teammate, and he went, MZ, I need a team now. I want to just play Tlenet immediately. Like, I don't really have anything new. I haven't built anything yet, and I'm not a speed builder. That's very much not my thing. I'm not a builder in general, but speed building, I don't know. So I took the Specs Orbital Secret Santa team that you gave me and changed like 4 mons, but kept kind of the general structure the same and turned it into a Specs Eggy team that I thought would be nice, because Tlenet has a huge habit of like reusing similar concepts week to week, similar cores, sometimes the exact same team, which is what he does here. And I thought Specs Egg would be a pretty reasonable shot, and like if I had more time, I probably would have counter teamed the exact team Tlenet brought for an easy win, but we were just going right into it, so this was the best I could come up with. It's a fun team. I used it for Rex. I liked it, but yeah, it was very much a speed, like, I'll figure out this defensive thing. And it's not the worst matchup in the world, but it's very much, and like Egg can do some damage, but the only thing Jerry really has to do any kind of cleaning here is Silvally Fairy, which cannot set up safely on like any of Tlenet's team, and that kind of decides the game, really.
He kind of called it early that he didn't really have any sequences to go in his favor or anything, like at least for the long term.
Yeah, Jerry doesn't do a lot of Egg early on. I feel like there could have been more time to abuse it. It didn't. It did a lot of work, because that's the point of Specs Egg versus a highly fat team. But I feel like it could have done more and been used more early. But that it wasn't like it still did enough. It weakens a lot of Tlenet's team. Tlenet does sack Golbat to it. Tlenet never really gets the chance to set up with either of his 2 defensive sweepers that would have just like blown Jerry out of the water. Like both the Iron Defense Kofag and the Coil Sandaconda with T-Spikes up are just like big issues for this, because it was a very quick team without that kind of defensive core to handle that. But like Jerry gets to the point where he wins if he doesn't get Scald burned out of 2 Scalds, so that's not bad.
Yeah, props for bringing it back. Like, he's so getting to that point is pretty tough. Yeah, Eggy did crit the Serena as well after it knocked off the Specs. I don't know if that mattered or not. I'm not sure.
I don't remember that. I thought it was low enough, but maybe it might be a fatter.
I think it was not 100.
Oh, it was 100% Serena. Yeah, that definitely mattered.
Yeah.
I don't know that it changed the game much, because at that point, like, the same Silvally Fairy thing was probably just going to happen. In fact, that arguably messed Jerry up, because Serena was, if that was defensive Serena anyway, it would have been a better Pokemon to set up on for Silvally. But if it was offensive, then same difference. Like, either way, Silvally either needs to win, or Jerry just cannot clean through Tlenet's team.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, he can Sword Stance twice. That's all he needs. But Vaporeon with Scald is your best setup fodder. And if it burns, well, that's game. GG. I do think Tlenet played it well. Not sure about sacking Golbat. There are other things that were less useful and would have made you a bit safer versus Silvally. But it never had amazing odds. Even if the Scald burn didn't happen, I wonder if it was max speed Togue. I don't think so, but I never actually calced.
I believe it's really bulky on that build.
Yeah,
like
okay.
max HP, max SPNF, something like that. So.
That is what I would expect. I guess he still would have had a shot, even without a Scald burn, to get like multiple spiky shields right, like spiky shield, sack something, try to get two spiky shields, and then maybe your last two mons can win. That might work actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jerry never had a like amazing odds, but not horrible undoable odds either. I think they both played it pretty reasonably. Um, and the matchup definitely started to in its favor.
Yeah, Talon is just very comfortable with that build.
Mhm.
I do like that team a lot.
Yeah, it's a uh, big fat thing. Big fat things tend to work out in PU. Just in
Yes.
general, I think like stall. Just feeling back at classic, like stall works in pretty much all of them. All right, what's next? Looked like that would be llamas versus kink.
I don't remember this game.
Um, I just remember that this is by far the most normal looking thing kink has ever used. I remember finding that pretty funny. It's still odd in places, um, but like overall, that actually looked like, yeah, that's kind of a pretty cohesive team. I just remember being surprised by that. Um, of course, the first thing he does turn one is reveal toxic on defensive Mesprit, which is just weird. Um, but it do be like that. Yeah. Kink has Infiltrator Whimsicott too. I did not remember that. That's funny. I guess like if you're Specs, you can totally do Infiltrator, but that didn't look like Specs damage. That Moonblast did 35 to a Yuxi.
Yeah, unless it's. Oh no, it's like a sub one. Yeah, I don't think that's Specs.
Yeah, just Specs Whimsicott Moonblast versus max HP 0 Spadef Yuxi is 37 to 44 with Moonblast. So unless Llamas had Spadef on sub Yuxi, which is possible but not really common, that looks like a non-specs Infiltrator Whimsicott. Oh no. Non-specs does not enough. Pixie Plate?
Yeah, I was gonna say Pixie Plate.
That would be max damage for Pixie Plate. So that might actually just be some Spadef on Yuxi, and it is a Spadef Whimsicott. Interesting. Either way, Infiltrator Whims. Not but that Moonblast did 20. Yeah, it's not specs. It Moonblast and then it U-turns. So he's just running Infiltrator. Maybe it's no support move. Maybe it's like I don't need priority if my only support move is defog. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just, oh, you don't expect that. But that's kind of Kink's bread and butter, toxic defensive Mesprit, CB outrage Guzzlord. Well, that's actually a more standard thing. It's just not like CB Guzzlord just isn't that common right now. That's all. But yeah, this. Sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Like, I kind of like his team, to be honest, the fire, water, grass kind of thing going on. It just seems easy to use. Like,
Yeah.
none of the mons are really that hard to click buttons with. Maybe, like, Guzzlord if you need to heavy slam, like a fairy type, but that's about it.
It seems pretty fine. I don't have a straight up issue with it, but it doesn't have anything that's like I don't know, crazy or exceptional or like pushing the team in any way. It's just like it almost feels like it's just kind of there, which isn't a problem, but it makes it not like above and beyond for me. It's like very straightforward. There's not a big sweeper. I don't know. It almost feels too basic because King takes a pretty early and solid lead, and he always has it, but without any like big finisher or something like that. Llamas is able to keep himself in the game like enough to just need one Togue flinch to win,
Yeah.
which, yeah, King definitely should have won this game. Um, but like to me, that's I think a bit of a team problem. Normally, if I had something like this, I would want, I don't know, like the Zard to be DD to have a sweeper in the back or something. That tends to be my feel.
Yeah.
But King
That
generally
was
played this well. Like he wasn't really going to be able to avoid the flinch chance unless he went out of his way to really preserve Lantern. And I don't think Llamas' team really worked out like at all.
uh yeah, I mean, I think both of these teams are very passive.
Mm.
Like not much pushes the issue. Um and I think that's a real problem in a meta where we have a lot of these like strong fighting types and strong breakers. I get what they're going for though, having some counterplay, but like I don't know. I feel like you like you said you need like a finisher type of thing, and it, I guess Starf Togue is decent at that, but
Mm. Well,
yeah,
Llama's team is like turbo passive. It's
yeah,
you've got Fire Blast Toxic Zard is not bad for damage. I'm a huge Zard fan, but it's that and it's sub Psyshock T-Bolt Yuxi. I'll assume the last move is Calm Mind, which does not feel like a reliable mon to be a secondary breaker at all. Like, first of all, you normally see Draining Kiss on those, right? To hit like Guzzlord as well as Scrafty and whatever. And this T-Bolt seems weird. But it's also like not good versus Togue or Encore Whims or like anything kind of. I don't know. It doesn't feel like enough damage from Llamas, and it kind of feels like the only reason he could win was because Kink's team is kind of fat, but actually has almost no recovery. Like aside from
uh-huh.
Ruzard, it's CB Guz, it's um, no healing wish, defensive Mesprit, it's Lantern. None of these mons have recovery, and I feel like that's the only reason Llamas could rack up anywhere near enough damage to do anything.
Yeah. Togue loves these teams with no recovery
Yeah.
because like you can easily switch into Togue like multiple times during the game, but if you don't have recovery, it's gonna keep coming in. It resists rocks, so yeah,
Mhm.
Togu's always gonna be having a shot in this end game once Lantern is weakened.
Yeah, yeah, like that. That just feels like the only reason he could have anything. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's move on. Arc versus TJ. So TJ was originally going to face Termi, who I think just didn't want to play, and they tossed in Arc, who was given a random team. I'm not sure if by Termi or by someone else, but didn't really know what it did or what TJ's Mons did, and didn't really know how to play it. And it's not the worst team I've ever seen. It's like a screen. It's a screens hyper offense with Sash lead Lycanroc and the weakness policy cosmic power Claydol stuff, which is pretty funny. And sub BD Zard, and it all might have done something. Although TJ having a Lycanroc means sub BD Zard's not going to look too hot. But like Arc had no idea how to play this.
It got absolutely thrashed by mixed Verzion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Mixed Verzion literally would have had 5 kills aside from the lead Sash Lycanroc before Arc just forfeited. Like he just didn't know how to play the game, what to do versus it. It happens. He tried. He could have just killed it with Claydol and probably would have lost the end game. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a problem. Okay.
Yeah, not much to say on that.
Me versus LST, hooray! I like both of these teams. Well, it should hopefully be a given that I like my team. I like LST's team a lot. I'm big fangirling on LST's team. It's pretty cute. It's Future Sight Duosion abuse with like Duosion plus Verizion That's plus Lycanroc too, as two funny little future sight abuses. I like that. It's so cute. It's yeah. That's
Yeah, this was a fun game from aesthetically.
mm.
I like the weak armor Garbodor.
Yeah. My
That's kind of cool.
well, my team is also just messing with funny concepts, but LST's like looks more coherent than mine, which was basically just use a bunch of like funny offense mons. It's an AV Claw and a weak armor offensive spikes garb and a choice banded Togedemaru. That kind of you know that's my version of wackiness. But I like LST's team a lot. As like I want to use something funny, but actually make it look coherent and threatening, and it is. My team doesn't really have a rock resist unless you count choice band Togedemaru, so that Lycanroc is big scary. Um, my one thing is having Quiver Dance or Bombi, which if that Talonflame, if that's dead, and if Lycanroc's not Accelerock, kind of gets the button, just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. Um,
Yeah, and the end game came down to like Toxic Mist, but you said you had Healing Wish.
it,
So
it didn't
there's-
it didn't actually. LSD should have won that. I will get there. I do want to say I think this is a fun game to look at the plays and stuff in. I play this one really aggressively because I feel like I have to, um, given that LSC's matchup is just like nice and threatening and terrifying. Um, so I'm doing like predictions. I'm staying in with Claw and Virizion. I go hard Charizard on Virizion, which turns out to be Stone Edge, and I really didn't think it would be Stone Edge, but he gets scared out. Or like he thinks I'll Scout, and I don't. That was really funny. Um, but I'm. It's not like it's all going well for me. Like he's also getting some right predictions. I get the Zard versus T Flame sequence entirely wrong, which like really fucks me up. Um, but yeah, I think this is a really funny game to look at from an offense perspective and figuring out how to play it. Because I went back and forth on a lot of stuff. Like, I think he might be choiced Garb. So instead of just 1v1ing his Garb with my Charizard, I end up sacking my Guzzlord and my Togue to weaken the Garb, to weaken the Guzzlord, because I think Charizard's just going to be more useful. But then I like sort of turn it around and play it really differently to try to go for the Rabombi win and basically just sack everything for a Rabombi setup opportunity. Like I literally just spam Roost with Zard to give Rabombi one Quiver Dance. So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to go around there, but I don't want to just keep doing a screen. I'm like, here's everything I think about this game. Specs, shut up.
I don't know. I enjoyed clicking through it. I think there were some cool plays like the Focus Blast on the Lycan with Zard.
Yeah, well, that was crucial. People don't expect Focus Blast Zard. I don't know why. Don't run Hurricane. Hurricane sucks. Focus Blast also sucks, but at least it sucks and hits rock types, you know? But yeah, basically where this game goes is I do everything to just get I chip Talonflame. He could have roosted up, but I would have had like other plays had he done that. So that's not a big deal. He chooses not to roost up with Talonflame. It's weakened. So I sack everything just to get a setup chance with Rabombi, and I think I win because his Jellicent has revealed Scald, and his team is very Toxicroak weak. It can't switch in. All you've got is a T-Flame. It's really bad for his Toxicroak. So you see Scald, you're going to assume Wisp, because why would you be Scald Toxic on a team that just dies to Toxicroak? Turns out LST's Jellicent is 100% walled by Toxicroak. So I roost on his Jellicent, and he ends up being toxic, at which point I would have lost. Healing Wish Mesprit is not enough, because I don't have the Scarf anymore. He can easily... It doesn't matter. Like, I would have died. But he misses his first Toxic, and then Rabombi sweeps. And you know what? I'm not going to say I totally deserve this, but I'm going to say I kind of deserve this because why is it? I like LST's team. But turns out he told me after it was Stone Edge Virizion, not Zen Headbutt or Air Slash or anything. And it was Scald Toxic Jellicent. Like, why would you be that weak to Toxicroak? No, that's not cool. So I'll say it deserved.
Deserved. Okay.
I don't know. I really like
Yeah.
when I saw the synth Virizion there. I was like, it's not going to be Stone Edge Virizion because even though Stone Edge is really good, if there's any team you're going to drop it on, it's on a Virizion that already has Future Sight support to break Talonflame, on a team that also has Lycanroc, and it's very weak to Toxicroak. So I'm just going to assume either he predicts me to switch out of a Stone Edge, or he thinks I'm going to Scout. Well, that's the same thing. Or he misses Stone Edge, or he's simply not Stone Edge. And it turns out it was Stone Edge for... I don't know. I think that's a silly way to build a team. I'm going to clown on him. Deserved. 100%. But yeah, I won because I dodged Toxic.
It happens. Oh well. Toxicroak week. That's okay.
Oh, man. There's HS versus Men's-Meat. Neither of whom play the team. Men's-Meat is just given Trix's team from last week, the one with the Boltund and the Gallerfisk that had the really close game with Jerry. And who did HS's team? That was Chloe, right? Chloe posted that to samples afterwards, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I like this team. I actually think it's pretty cool. You can go look at it in the sample teams thread in Chloe's post. It's got an Aggron, always a big fan. It's got a Scarf Virizion, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yep. While you're there, if you have any teams to drop,
Yeah.
do it.
Yes, please. It's not an especially strong team, but HS's team. Or Men's-Meat's team. I'm just not a huge fan of that Trix team, to be honest. I don't think it's that good. It definitely struggles because more because HS just like real outplays Men's-Meat really really hard.
Yeah, Aggron was a huge issue here. Being able to take, or basically forcing us to never Thunderfang, meaning we never get off or they never get off like a super hard hit up until the end where it doesn't matter because it dies to rocks, or dies to anything. Yeah. Boltund is not reliable at all, sadly.
No, it's not. What happened? Did like Eevee and whoever else, were they just like tired of PU being stupid?
Well, we had no shot at making playoffs or anything, so we just kind of were bouncing back and forth about either using Evire or Boltund.
Right. Yes.
And
right.
yeah, Boltund was.
No, I meant more because Evagaro had been the PU slot, but no, you guys were already out, and I remember like
So
next
we
week Trix plays Ubers and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and I wouldn't blame you for being tired with PU. Like they weren't a fan of the last week me versus Trix, and no, me versus Eevee and LST versus Trix. Me versus Eevee and Jerry versus Trix. Those games were the silly ones that I wouldn't blame Eevee for being like tired of PU after. Okay. Last game, Trix versus Chloe. Again, like Trix's team is already out. Chloe brings like average competitive trying team with Archeops and Alolan Egg, and I like this team. And Trix just brings nonsense with Evire and Whiscash and Flame Orb, Cosmic Power, Orbeetle, and that kind of stuff, and loses. Yeah.
Yep. It was a game.
Just messing around. I respect that because that's what I do next week.
Yeah. Just your average Whiscash. team
Mhm.
in 2021.
Yeah, like Miss Maggie's have been out. Week 7, they only end up playing 5 of their 10 games. You know, stuff like that. Speaking of week 7, so there was a lot of PU chosen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games of PU chosen. By far the lowest. Not by far. There's been 6. The lowest amount of PU games chosen. But several games don't happen. LST Rob Jr. doesn't happen. Slant at Men's Meet doesn't happen. So there ends up only being actually 3 games to go over. And one of them is mine. Let me just go find these. Okay, yeah. I play Punny, and just trying to pull up all the games right now. Still surprised nobody plays that. Right. I play Punny. Termy plays Kink, which I think is the only, like, serious one that happened this week. And yeah, oh no, Chloe plays TJ. That one was also serious. Okay, so yeah, I play Punny. Our team is out, and I decide I'm going to use some fun stuff, so I bring Cursula Webs and run into pretty much, like, the worst possible matchup. It could definitely be worse, but, like, Punny has redundancies on top of redundancies for my stuff. I would have had to play this one super godlike. The big thing, I think, would have been if I stayed in with Cursula on a Frostlass that I knew was going to have Poltergeist, predicting Punny to go for Spikes, and hoped that the Frostlass was Boots and not Sash and got the Oko there, maybe I would have had a shot. If I'd stayed in on that turn, that would have been the big thing. But basically, like, I've got a Webs hyper offense in a really bad matchup. I've got to get everything right. I think Punny just had something random he was passed from someone else. I'm assuming he didn't build for this. Maybe he did. No idea. Cool looking team. It's got a clef. Don't know about that. But yeah, he plays this one perfectly fine and cleans up. And once again, I have SD Toxicroak when Nasty Plot would have been so much better. Sorry. Now you can go.
Yeah. The only reason that mod isn't broken is because you always have the wrong set. I think that's...
Twice. Like, actually, if I had Nasty Plot, it would have been 1,000 times better matchup because half the idea was Cursula Webs, half the idea was Koba Berry Toxicroak to lure Talonflame for Choice Band Chinchino to not get burned. And Kix has Silvally Steel and Talonflame and Frostlass and Polisand, so there goes the Chinchino idea. But Toxicroak on its own with Koba Berry could have been really, really good if it was actually special and could hit the Polisand. Always the wrong one. I'm just going to run special every time from now on.
Was this game serious, or was it just clicking around?
I mean, the team wasn't serious, but I was gonna try to win.
Okay.
I wasn't just trying to throw.
Yeah. No, yeah. I just meant, like, are your teams, like, still in at this point, or?
Punny, I think, was, like, not messing. Like, even if Punny was out, I think he just, like, got past a reasonable team. And Punny is on the Escavaliers, which I think are in. Yeah, they are in playoffs.
Oh, cool.
Their team beat us 2-1 this week. Pretty much nobody played because we were out, I guess. I didn't realize the rest of my team just didn't fucking play. Wow, they suck. I built and played. A funny team, but still, Jesus, what the fuck? No, Punny was in.
Okay.
Or maybe he actually needed this week to be in. Like, maybe they needed to win this week, which they did. I have no idea. Point is, yeah, I was messing around. Punny, I don't think was. The other 2 games are serious, though. So we have Termy versus Kink. Who are on which teams? Termy and Kink are where? The Manectrix and the Rayquazas. Both of these teams actually do make it to playoffs. Yeah, so they're the number 2 and 3 seeds. Escavaliers, which is Kix's team, is the 4th seed, so they probably did need to beat us, so Kix was probably trying. And it's really funny. These teams are playing each other again in playoffs, but it's not the same matchup again. Anyway, Termy Kink, they're both trying. Termy brings a Kingler offense, which I think is reasonable. Kink has had bad water resists like every single game he's played. It was 2 weeks ago that TJ brought Tailwind plus Kingler. That was how he wanted to beat Kink. And that one didn't work out so well. This one works out a lot better.
Yeah, Helio will not be your water resist, or at least Kingler resist. So this was a good call out.
Yeah, like again, a much more normal team from Kink, but the speed control is just Talonflame, Sneasel, Rabombi, like no actual Scarfer, just fast things, which I don't think is great in this meta. There's enough boosting stuff that is. Kingler is not the only thing. You know, you run into QD Rabombi or DD Zard or that kind of stuff. You're gonna be in for a rough time. But it is a neat looking offense. Like I don't hate it. It's just it's definitely a bit awkward. But yeah, Termy sets up an agility like turn 9, and Kingler already wins. He doesn't need any chip damage, or she doesn't need any chip damage or anything. Kingler will just break Kink's team. The only reason Termy doesn't immediately win is because Kink is basically able with Kink goes Heliolus, goes back to Talonflame to get himself 2 chances to flame body Kingler, and gets a first try. Immediately burns Termy's Kingler. So that would have auto won, and it doesn't. But fortunately, Kink's team is also insanely weak to Talonflame. Like, actually just dies. So Termy just wins like that instead.
Yeah, Termy had shown me this really funny calc of Kingler always OHKOing Helios from full with Body Sun. I think that's... I don't know why. I burst out laughing when I saw that. Like, Body Sun was not a move you really saw last gen, but it's actually pretty good here now, because you can hit like a lot of the 50-50 kind of mid-ground mons that Kingler forces in. So I think it's such a cool mon right now, and it definitely matches up well versus Kink's stuff.
Yeah, Kink's been going more and more offensive, I think, and that's like when Kingler isn't always great versus offense, but where it really struggles is you run into the Vaporeon, you're not Sword Stance or something like that, and Kink hasn't really been doing much of that. I guess last week there was Lantern. That's not the same class of fat water. Like I think that was just a good call from Termy, and yeah, not much. Like Talonflame went in, Whimsicott went in as soon as there was damage on T-Flame. Heliolisk did work. Scarf Kabu did work. Like all of Termy's mons were gonna be doing some problems.
Yeah, I think she had a pretty good matchup here.
Actually, Kink's Claydol died like very early, and at that point, Scarf Kabu's Stone Edge just wins, just cleans up if Termy can hit all the time. But Kabu never even comes out aside from the one time like turn 5 that it flip turns to get Kingler in. But like that already won.
Yep. Didn't even need it.
No. Oh man. Final game. Chloe versus TJ. Again, got some Kingler. From Chloe's side this time versus a Jellicent, so not quite the same like auto win type scenario. This is a very odd game. I think both their teams are generally pretty fine. Kingler Toxicroak breaking, Kingler Toxicroak Sarina breaking versus Lycanroc Sarina Rabombi breaking. Like, yeah, okay.
This game, there was a huge flying body early on that I think changed everything, because Lycanroc is such a huge threat to Chloe's team. The Regirock gets weakened very early on, and from there, Lycanroc, Edge, or CC Mind Games are just so deadly, and they're always going to be in TJ's favor for the most part. But with Lycanroc getting burned by Talonflame, this shifted very quickly.
Yeah, and I do kind of want to put that down to like TJ just not playing it right. But at the same time,
Maybe.
Lycanroc was going to have to be doing some predictions. Like
Yeah.
there's a Wish defensive Togue and a T Flame and a Regirock and a Toxicroak. That's a lot of different mons to be like, oh, am I CCing or Stone Edging? And basically, the first time TJ gets that wrong and CC is right into Chloe's Talonflame, Lycanroc gets burned. And yeah, at that point, uh, TJ just doesn't have the breaking. Knock Power Whip Sarina plus Quiver Dance Rabombi does not get through Spadef Togue. Um, yeah, and yeah, that's actually just pretty much the game. Like it goes on, things die. It looks kind of close-ish on paper, I guess. Um, but Chloe's very safe here, especially with Nasty Plot, Life Orb, Toxicroak, which is also pretty nice versus TJ's team. Like, can only really be revenged with Rabombi and cannot be safely switched into.
Yeah. I guess I should reiterate that like Chloe did have a very like a healthy amount of threats as well. So yeah, I just think like if either TJ got like some more plays right with Lycanroc, or didn't get burned, I think he had a very good shot here of doing some stuff.
Yeah, he still would have been in the game. I think Toxicroak being a big enough threat to where Chloe's almost never going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that burn pretty much immediately ends it. I hate Flame Body, it's stupid.
I hate those abilities,
Yeah.
especially like in game, static and stuff. Ugh,
Yeah. Ugh.
disgusting.
But I should say that is a 4-0 for Chloe. That is
Good stuff.
a nice little performance. Came in, started out late. Um, Chloe's on the Chinchinos, which had been trying to play Expulso and Sensei Axio, and generally not really choosing PU because they didn't really get a PU slot at all. That was, this was the clear team that's like, I don't know. But then Chloe comes in and walks right into a 4-0, beating Termy, Kink, Trix, and TJ. Very respectable, very good performance. Probably a big help for the Chinchinos, who are like the number one seed. So I'm assuming that that mattered. Like comfortably the number one seed too. They've got 13 points. The next team is 9. Like Jesus.
Oh man,
Well,
I
the,
didn't realize
all,
the cat was in
the
there.
points are really spread out. Like if you look at the spreadsheet, which is in the OP, Chinchinos have 13, Manectrics have 9, Meteorites have 6, Escavs have 3, and then for the teams that don't make it, Gastrodons have 0, Articunos are -4, Ducklets are -8, and Mismagius are -19.
Hmm.
And these are points in terms of not in terms of like win loss tie. In that case, it's actually a lot closer. Like Chinchinos and Pokemon Ectrix and Meteorites are all 4-2. Oh, this must be old then, because that's only 6 weeks. There were 7 weeks, so they're all 4-2 going into week 7, and Escavs are 3-2-1, and the West Coast Gastrodon West are 3-3-0. So that's how. Oh, and Articunas are also 3-3-0. So that's how close those teams, who barely didn't make it, were to the Escavs. So it's like kind of close there. But looking at like win loss and stuff, these top teams are way ahead. Um,
Yeah,
Chinchinos and Manectrics just much better performances.
good stuff to them.
Yeah. And then after Chloe, let's see, you have me, Kink, and TJ all losing. So we're all 4-3. Like, aside from Chloe, nobody has a standout record. Um, yeah, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3. You've got some 3-3s. You've got 3-3 Jerry. I think Termy is 4-2 now. Yeah. So I guess that's slightly better. 4-2. Um, LST ended 2-4. Evagero ended 1-3. So did Trix. Then mostly people just didn't play that many games. Lax also ended 3-0, but
with this mono stuff.
He didn't play much. He mostly played against non-mains. Tlenit threw super hard versus mono, and he hacks Jerry super hard with mono. Like, I'm not saying Lax sucks. I'm just saying Lax wasn't like trying or caring, and then just a bunch of silly things happened to go 3-0. Like, it'd be like that. But yeah, that leaves semis, where only 2 games of PU were chosen. Shockingly little. You've got Chinchinos versus S-Cavs, Chloe versus Punny. Punny from S-Cavs. Who have S-Cavs been playing in? Punny played me last week, but Punny hasn't been playing much PU. S-Cavs have been running Atomic Llamas, who is not starting at all. Who else have S-Cavs been running? Liss, who went 0-1. Lighthouses, who went 0-1. Ninja Dog, who went 0-1. So S-Cavs don't really have a PU player, like, at all.
No. They've just been kind of trying stuff out and seeing how it works.
Yeah. Llamas did fine. He had like a fine. He had a fine 2-1. And Punny's like a generally good player, so I think they'll be fine. And Mainectrix versus Meteorites. Termi is in again, but instead of doing Termi Kink a second time, Meteorites have put Kink in NU and Renchon in PU, where they were swapped last week. No clue why. Kink is,
I don't know what's up with that.
Kink has been struggling. I think he went from like... Yeah, Kink went from 3-1 to 4-3. So a bit of a slump these last couple weeks, especially with the win versus TJ being not the cleanest one, but like, I mean, they've both played NU and PU before. It's just an odd switch to see. I don't know.
Yeah, I know Renchon can. I don't know if he's kept up with like new meta, but I know he's played before and done decent. So
yeah,
I mean, he can still win. I just didn't expect it at all.
Yeah, just odd, but we'll see what they come up with. I think that's about it, except for Gimmick Corner, which there's no Hajad, but we can do our best.
Okay. You can go first, and I can look if that's okay.
Chinchino's good. Like, it's not amazing. It's not standout anymore. There's a lot of faster things now in checks and whatever. It's harder to clip moves. Each hit of Tail Slap has an individual chance to get burned versus Talonflame, and if you get burned on any early one, you're not going to be killing it with even with CB Tail Slap. There's more ghosts like Polisand, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's still a fast thing that it actually does a lot of damage. You can toss out big knockoffs and triple axles and rock blasts. It's good. Like, that's a pretty fine mon. Not amazing. Just like, yep, that's a thing.
Yeah, nothing like A rank about it, but I mean, you can catch some people off guard. It could break some cores. I had a throw team. Throw's like, it still doesn't die to anything, so it's, I don't know, it's still okay.
I've had thoughts about. Sorry, I don't want to cut on anything, but I've had thoughts about throw recently, to be honest. Because again, like, nothing actually just straight up beats it, but it just feels like a mon that would chip 2 things to like 30 and then die.
Yeah, I did struggle to use it because I was just laddering with it randomly. I had that throw thought as well. I just like that nothing straight up kills it. It's not one of those, and it does a lot of damage too. Like, I know that we have huge, strong fightings now, but 100 base attack still isn't bad. I don't know. I feel like it could be a more used glue. Nothing crazy though. What else? Do I have anything else?
I used Cursula versus Punny. It's not good, but it's still really fun.
Cursula, yeah, it can. The indoor stuff is really funny.
It's just fun. I
Yeah.
the main reason I miss old meta, which was a worse meta, is because you could do more funny cursorless stuff, and it was just better at that. It's still fun.
And you know what? People should use Jinx. I I know. Okay, the fact that Spadef Togue is not going max speed a lot of the time now, they can, but they don't a lot of the time. I think gives Jinx a lot of leeway to be like a breaker.
I don't think the issue
I'd
is
like to see
Spadef.
more
I think it's more
people use it.
Scarf is just a pain to have around.
Oh yeah, Scarf's a pain, but like they can't really switch into ice beams like over and over, so that's a good thing for it.
Yeah, but is Jinx really coming in over and over? Sounds like another Frostmoth thing. I don't know. You're not the first person who's talked about it recently. I'm sure you could make it work. Just doesn't seem like it'd be worth the effort, really.
Maybe. Do you need Nasty Plot in this meta? Like at all? I could see like
I
Sleep
mean,
3 attack, something like that.
if you don't want to get PP stalled by Vaporeon, I guess.
Oh yeah, Fave.
Or I don't know, like, if you want to beat Jealous and switching into you, you'd probably need Nasty Plot.
Yeah,
Those kinds of mons.
maybe you do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Food for thought.
It doesn't seem unusable. Like, there's a lot of stuff in our lower ranks, not even ranked, that seems like usable, but I just wouldn't put the time into messing with them when there's other stuff. Alchemy and Berserker and Turtonator and I don't know, Trevenant. All that stuff seems like actually pretty usable, but we've got better stuff to mess with.
Yep. Rip.
Yeah.
I think that's it in my builder, to be honest. I'll
Well,
try to build more.
that's plenty. We don't need more than that. And that's the cast. Maybe we'll be back next week or 2 weeks. Maybe we'll have Hijat or we won't. Who's to say?
Yeah, I want to hear Hajad's accent.
Me
I think
too.
that's
Been
a lot
missing
of the
it.
reason I watch.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Just kidding. You didn't tune in. You're not listening to this, so no props to you.